Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. Seriously, Marcus, when are you and Grace getting engaged? Engaged? I heard Marcus scoff, the contempt in his voice instantly freezing me. Are you kidding? It's just for fun. That kind of woman, she's dirty. If it weren't for her money, do you think I'd put up with her this long? Once I take over the resources from her company, I'll dump her when I'm tired of playing. Dirty for her money. Dump her when I'm tired of playing. Every word felt like a poisoned ice pick, stabbing deeply into my heart. 2 years of sweetness, care, and solemn vows. At this moment, it all turned into the most disgusting joke. My blood seemed to freeze instantly. I bit down hard on my lip to keep from making a sound. I stood in the restroom, the cold marble countertop stinging my palms. My face in the mirror was ghost white. Just 3 minutes ago, I was holding a glass of expensive champagne, a smile I mistook for happiness on my face, mingling at this party, celebrating our 2-year anniversary, accepting sincere or envious well wishes from friends. Now, I just wanted to smash the glass in my hand. Seriously, Marcus, when are you and that bombshell finally getting engaged? I heard a man's voice outside. It was Kyle, Marcus's so-called buddy. I had been about to walk straight back to the patio, but hearing my name mentioned, my steps involuntarily halted. Engaged? Marcus scoffed, the contempt in his voice chilling me to the bone. Are you kidding? It's just for fun. Come on, everyone knows Grace is head over heels for you. She's beautiful and her family is loaded, Kyle teased. Don't be such an ungrateful jerk. My heart warmed slightly, anticipating Marcus's response. We had been together for 2 years, and I had laid my entire heart, my entire fortune bare before him. The 3 companies William left behind before he died were now being managed flawlessly by Marcus. Everyone said Marcus had struck gold with me. Huh. Yes, she has money. Marcus lowered his voice a bit, but I still heard him clearly. But you don't know that kind of woman. She's dirty. That word, like an ice pick, plunged directly into my heart. Dirty? What do you mean? I was clearly stunned too. She just puts on a good front. Who knows what she's like behind the scenes? Marcus's tone carried a sickening sense of superiority. If it weren't for her money, do you think I'd tolerate her this long? Once I completely take over her company's resources and connections, I'll naturally break up with her when I'm done playing. For now, I'll have to keep flattering her. Outside, I heard their knowing chuckles and the clinking of glasses. I leaned against the cold wall, feeling my blood run cold. My nails dug deep into my palms, yet I felt no pain. Every little bit of sweetness from the past 2 years now felt like a sarcastic blade cutting into my heart over and over again. The man who, with tear-filled eyes, swore to William on his deathbed that he'd take care of me forever. The man who, at 3 o'clock in the morning, scoured half the city for kanji because I said my stomach hurt. The man who gently whispered under candlelight, "Grace, my future plans are all about you." It was all just an act. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stand tall. The woman in the mirror had red-rimmed eyes, but her gaze grew colder with each passing moment. Grace, oh Grace, you truly are the biggest fool in the world. William had warned me. You never truly know someone's heart. Yet, I dove headfirst into the gentle trap Marcus meticulously wove, even feeling grateful. Dirty for money? Fine, Marcus. Since you love money so much, I'll show you exactly how the dirty woman you speak of will crush everything you value most piece by piece. I took out my compact powder, carefully touched up my makeup, concealing the wetness at the corners of my eyes. Then I put on an even brighter, more captivating smile than before, pushed the door open, and walked out, returning to the noisy patio. Marcus was already seated at our previous spot. Seeing me, he immediately flashed his signature gentle smile and stood up to pull out my chair. "What took you so long? Are you feeling unwell?" he asked with concern, his hand naturally reaching for my forehead. 3 minutes earlier, that gesture would have made my heart race. Now I just found his hand utterly repulsive. I suddenly turned my head away, picked up a napkin to wipe my hands and smiled faintly. "I'm fine, just touching up my makeup. By the way, Marcus, Mr. Davies just called," he said. "There's an urgent matter with the Eastwood project, and I need to go check on it right away." Marcus's smile faltered. The district project was the company's biggest prize at the moment, and he had always wanted to take it over completely. But I had held firm to the core data and final decision-making power, using the excuse, "I don't want you to overwork yourself." He had probed several times, both overtly and subtly. Now the party isn't over yet. His tone held a hint of barely concealed urgency. "What's so urgent? How about I go instead? You enjoy yourself." See, he couldn't wait. "No need. It's just some minor details. I'll handle it quickly and be right back." I picked up my handbag and, feigning intimacy, patted his arm. "You enjoy yourself with your friends. I've already taken care of the bill." Under his poorly masked look of disappointment, I rose gracefully and bid my friends farewell. As I reached the door, I glanced back. Marcus had already put his smile back on, chatting animatedly with friends nearby, as if the conversation outside the restroom had been a mere hallucination of mine. But I knew it wasn't. Sitting in my Porsche, I didn't immediately start the car. Instead, I made a call. "Mr. Taylor, it's Grace," I said, looking at the city's glittering nightscape outside the window, my voice so calm, it surprised even myself. "I need you to do a few things for me immediately, and with absolute confidentiality. First, a comprehensive audit of all company accounts handled by Marcus, especially the financial flows over the last 6 months. Don't alert anyone. Second, create a new asset protection plan for all real estate equity and funds under my name, restricting access, especially for those where Marcus is listed as an emergency contact. Third, find me a reliable private investigator. I want all of Marcus' whereabouts and social interactions. The more detailed, the better." Mr. Taylor on the other end of the phone was clearly surprised, but his professionalism kept him from asking further questions. He simply noted down my requests efficiently. Hanging up the phone, I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white from the pressure. "Marcus, the game has just begun. Since you dared to treat me as an ATM and trample my sincerity, be prepared to pay the price. I'll make sure you learn that Grace's money isn't so easily taken. You, the man who climbed to power on the back of a dirty woman. I will make you 100 times more despicable than you imagine dirty to be. Just you wait." Mr. Taylor's efficiency was always remarkable. 3 days later, I sat in his office in a prestigious downtown office building, a thin folder resting before me. Sunlight streamed through the massive floor-to-ceiling windows. Yet it did nothing to dispel the chill in my heart. "Ms. Grace, the preliminary investigation results have some noteworthy points." Mr. Taylor adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses, his expression grave. "The accounts appear clean on the surface." Mr. Marcus was very cautious. I took a sip of coffee, the bitter taste spreading on my tongue. But however, Mr. Taylor opened the folder, pointing to several seemingly ordinary expenditure records. These public relations expenses exceeded the norm, and the recipient was a newly registered shell company. Tracing further, the funds ultimately flowed into a personal account. He paused, then handed me a PR paper. "These are partial bank statements for that account." My gaze fell upon a familiar name, Tiffany, a name I had never given much thought to. Marcus's childhood friend. The woman he claimed was just like a sister. The bank statement showed that over the past 6 months, several substantial amounts were transferred from that shell company account to Tiffany's account, labeled as design fee and consulting fee. Ridiculous. Tiffany was just an ordinary art gallery administrator. Where would she get design and consulting business? Additionally, Mr. Taylor handed over a few more photos. These were taken by the private investigator over the past few days. In the photos, Marcus and Tiffany sat intimately in a secluded corner of a cafe. Marcus's hand rested on Tiffany's. Another photo showed the two of them entering a high-end apartment, one after the other the previous night, less than half an hour apart. My heart felt as if an invisible hand had clamped down on it, and a suffocating sensation overwhelmed me. So it wasn't just about the money. There was already a new lover lined up. Grace was being played for a fool by 2 people at the same time. That apartment. I forced myself to calm down, though my voice trembled slightly. Was it confirmed? Confirmed. It's registered under Tiffany's name. But the down payment for the purchase originated from funds Mr. Marcus transferred through another associated company. Mr. Taylor looked at me meaningfully. This was 3 months ago, at which time Mr. Marcus, citing urgent project investment needs, transferred an equivalent sum from the project account you jointly managed. I closed my eyes, my fingertips cold. 3 months ago, Marcus was swearing he was working tirelessly for our future home. So busy his feet barely touched the ground. It turned out he was busy using my money to build a love nest for him and another woman. Are all the pieces of evidence secured? When I opened my eyes again, only cold determination remained in my heart. It's all here, including bank statements, photos, property information, and copies. It's clear enough. Mr. Taylor closed the folder. Ms. Grace, what are your next steps? Keep investigating. I stood up, walked to the window, and looked down at the bustling city below. Every project he's handled, every channel of funds he could access, I want them all thoroughly investigated. I need to know just how much he siphoned from me. Understood. However, such a large-scale audit might alert them, so find a way to muddy the waters under the guise of a regular annual audit. I turned my eyes sharp. Mr. Taylor, I don't want him to simply back off. I want him to spit out everything he swallowed, principal and interest, and suffer complete ruin. Mr. Taylor nodded. I'll handle it properly. Leaving Taylor's office, I drove to the family estate William had left behind. There was his favorite study with walls lined with bookshelves, emanating the faint scent of camphor wood and old paper. As a child, I always loved to curl up in his large armchair, watching him handle documents. He would stroke my head and say, "Grace, business is like life. Integrity is fundamental. But if someone wrongs you or betrays you, there's no need to tolerate it. Sometimes strong actions are necessary to protect what's right." I didn't quite understand it before. Now I fully grasped it. From the bottom drawer of the desk, I pulled out an old craft paper file envelope. Inside were some of William's early entrepreneurial notes and several key equity documents. One of them involved a seemingly inconspicuous small company holding a core patent. William had quietly transferred it to my name before he died, and even Marcus was unaware of its existence. This company might become a hidden chess piece in my counterattack. My phone buzzed and the name Marcus flashed on the screen. I stared at those 2 words for a full 10 seconds before pressing the answer button, my voice instantly switching to a flawlessly gentle tone. "Grace, where are you? What do you want for dinner tonight? I booked your favorite Japanese restaurant." Marcus' voice was as thoughtful as ever. Looking at the deep twilight outside the window, I curled my lips into a smile, though my eyes were icy. "Sounds good. I actually have some good news I want to share with you too, about the company's future development," I said softly, with just the right touch of excitement in my voice. "Let's talk about it when we meet." Hanging up the phone, I took a deep breath. "Marcus, the stage is set. Let's see who plays their part more convincingly. I'll play this deadly game to the very end." The private room at the Japanese restaurant was as secluded as ever. The bamboo curtain was drawn low, shutting out the outside noise. Marcus was already there, wearing the expensive shirt I had bought him, his smile warm and impeccable. He stood up and pulled out my chair, his movements smooth and natural, as if he had practiced them 1,000 times. The thoughtfulness that once made my heart flutter now only felt sarcastic. "What's the good news? You kept me in suspense on the phone," he said, pouring me sake, his eyes filled with just the right mix of curiosity and affection. I picked up the glass but didn't drink. I just watched the clear liquid swirl. "Do you remember that small tech company William left behind? Core Incorporated." Marcus' eyes subtly brightened for a fleeting moment, then quickly settled back to calmness, his voice carrying a hint of regret. "Of course I remember. It's a shame it's so small and niche. It never really took off. Why bring it up suddenly?" Keep acting." I sneered internally but showed excitement on my face. "It's taking off. I just found out they have a core technology patent that's perfect for the Eastwood Smart Community Project. If we integrate it, the project's valuation could at least double." I carefully observed his reaction. His hand, holding the chopsticks, paused for a moment, though he quickly masked it. That fleeting look of surprise and greed didn't escape my notice. The district project was the biggest prize he most wanted to fully control. Using this as bait, I knew he would bite. "Really?" He put down his chopsticks, leaning slightly forward, showing great interest. "Why didn't you mention this before? Is the patent reliable?" "I only discovered it when I was organizing assets. The patent documents are complete, and it's been evaluated by professionals. It's absolutely reliable, I said in a lowered conspiratorial voice. The key is that this news hasn't spread yet. I thought if we could integrate Core Incorporated into the main project internally, the profit margins would be huge. Marcus' breathing visibly quickened. He knew too well how real estate projects worked. The backing of a core technology would not only boost valuation, but also facilitate financing and garner preferential government support. This truly is fantastic news. He gripped my hand, his palm warm, his eyes burning with intensity. Grace, you're so meticulous. We need to act fast on this before things get complicated. I suppressed the urge to pull my hand away, letting him hold it, and conveniently showed a hint of difficulty on my face. But there's a problem. To merge the companies, we'll need a significant amount of cash for preliminary integration and patent revaluation. My liquid assets are tied up in several short-term investments right now, so I can't free them up quickly. I looked at him, my eyes innocent yet dependent. Marcus, could you arrange some funds first? I'll repay you as soon as the project financing comes through. This was the first test. I knew he didn't personally have that much cash. He had always coveted my money. If he had ill intentions, he would undoubtedly try to get the money from the company accounts. As expected, Marcus pondered for a moment, then put on a generous expression of sharing. Your burden? No problem. Leave it to me. I'll see which project account we can temporarily borrow from. It's all for the company's development after all. See, the fish took the bait. Fantastic. You always find a way. I smiled with relief, serving him a piece of sashimi. Then it's settled. I'll have the legal team prepare a draft merger agreement tomorrow. The meal ended in an atmosphere where Marcus appeared pleased but was secretly calculating, and I appeared dependent but was inwardly cold and plotting. On the way home, Marcus was exceptionally attentive, his conversation revolving around the Eastwood project and the grand vision for Core Incorporated, subtly probing whether I had any other surprises hidden away. I, in turn, played the fool, a woman blinded by love, sharing everything without reservation and hinting that William might have left some undiscovered assets that would take time to organize. Watching the increasingly poorly concealed glint in his eyes, I knew that greed had already made him lose his basic judgment. At my doorstep, he leaned in to kiss me, but I gently pushed him away, feigning dizziness from the wine. Closing the door, I leaned against the cold panel and let out a long sigh. My phone buzzed. It was an encrypted message from Mr. Taylor. Ms. Grace, Marcus has begun contacting the CFO, trying to understand the approval process for large recent transfers. The shell company account has new small exploratory transfer records pointing to Tiffany's account. Excellent. He's moving faster than I anticipated. I replied, proceed as planned. Give him an open door, but all transfer attempts must be monitored in real time in the back end and secure all evidence. Putting down my phone, I walked to the window and looked out at the deep night. Marcus's car was still parked downstairs. He hadn't left immediately. After a while he made a call. Though I couldn't hear the content, the relaxed posture and subtle smugness in his silhouette convinced me of who was on the other end. I drew the curtains, shutting out the nauseating scene outside. Marcus, you think you're strategizing, moving step by step towards the pinnacle of wealth, but you don't realize that every step you take is building the staircase for me to send you to hell. Enjoy your last moments of bliss. Soon you'll find out what it feels like to fall from the clouds. Over the next few days, calm surfaces concealed strong undercurrents. Marcus became increasingly attentive to me, almost to the point of being at my beck and call. The fervor and greed in his eyes were almost impossible to conceal. He probably thought he already had one foot inside the Shin family's vault. The draft equity transfer agreement was delivered to him. Mr. Taylor, following my instructions, had designed the terms to be extremely generous, almost an unconditional gift. Marcus pretended to review it, hypocritically suggesting a few revisions that were unfair to Grace, but I firmly rejected them, citing complete trust in him. He reluctantly accepted, the barely suppressed smile at the corner of his mouth so ugly it was nauseating. Meanwhile, Tiffany also started making moves. First, she posted a corner of the gala invitation on social media with the caption, "New journey, grateful for encounters," tagged at a top styling studio. Immediately after, Several fashion gossip bloggers began unveiling the suddenly appearing Miss Tiffany, using ambiguous language, implying she was backed by a mysterious patron, keeping the public in suspense. All of this, naturally, was Marcus's doing. He was using my money to craft a fake crown for his mistress. On the night of the charity gala, I chose to make a low-key entrance, wearing a sharply tailored black gown, and sat with Chloe in an inconspicuous corner. Tiffany, as expected, made a stunning appearance. She wore a haute couture gown from the current season, adorned with expensive jewelry, no doubt purchased with my money by Marcus, and was escorted by a prominent art critic. A path surely paved by Marcus, posing on the red carpet, basking in the flashes of the cameras. "Ugh, look at her with that smug satisfaction," Chloe whispered in my ear. "Does she really think she's a socialite?" I swirled the champagne in my hand, watching coldly. Let her enjoy it a little longer. The higher they climb, the harder they fall. Halfway through the banquet, the charity auction began. A sculpture by a contemporary artist was presented on the stage with a considerable starting bid. I knew Tiffany had always prided herself on being an art connoisseur, and wouldn't miss an opportunity like this to display her taste and sophistication. Sure enough, she began bidding frequently, her posture elegant, but her eyes revealing a clear determination to win. After a few rounds, the price had been driven to an absurd figure, and competitors gradually dwindled. "Looks like Marcus is really sparing no expense," Chloe sneered. Just as the auctioneer was about to strike the gavel, I slowly raised my bidder's paddle and announced a higher price. All eyes in the room instantly focused on me. Tiffany's smile froze, and she looked at me in disbelief. She clearly hadn't expected me to be there, much less to be bidding against her. She gritted her teeth and raised her paddle to bid again. I remained expressionless, continuing to match her bid. The price soared, and the atmosphere became somewhat strange. Everyone sensed the palpable tension between me and this new socialite. Whispers spread through the room. Tiffany's face grew increasingly pale, and her hand holding the paddle began to tremble slightly. This price clearly exceeded the budget Marcus had given her, or rather, it exceeded the limit of funds Marcus could safely embezzle at the moment. The auctioneer repeated the price 3 times, his gaze fixed on Tiffany. She looked pleadingly at Marcus in the crowd. Marcus's face was ashen, and he slyly shook his head. "Congratulations to Miss Grace." The auction gavel fell. Polite applause erupted in the hall. I rose gracefully and walked towards the stage to finalize the purchase. As I passed Tiffany, I didn't pause, merely speaking softly enough for only the two of us to hear. Fakes, after all, never truly make it to the top. Tiffany's face instantly turned ashen. I didn't look at her again, proceeding directly to complete the transaction. As the gala continued, and everyone immersed themselves in polite, insincere conversations, I left early. I knew this was just the beginning. I had publicly shattered Tiffany's carefully constructed vanity, effectively delivering a harsh blow to Marcus's reputation. They must be shocked and furious, the seeds of doubt already sown. Back in my car, I received a text message from an unknown number. Just one short line. "Grace, don't get too ahead of yourself." I smiled and deleted it immediately. Ahead of myself? No, this was just me collecting a bit of interest. The real storm was yet to come. "Marcus, Tiffany, your stolen dream is about to end." The day after the charity gala, Marcus appeared at my doorstep first thing in the morning, his face so grim it looked like it could drip water. "Grace, what was that last night?" he demanded the moment he stepped inside, not even bothering to maintain his usual pretense. "You knew Tiffany liked that sculpture. Why did you deliberately bid against her?" I was leisurely sipping my coffee, and hearing his words I looked up, feigning surprise. "Marcus, what are you talking about? I was simply bidding on something I liked just like anyone else. The highest bidder wins at an auction. Isn't that normal? Or is it that if I fancy something, no one else is allowed to touch it?" I intentionally emphasized Miss Sue with a hint of playfulness. Marcus choked on my words, seeming to realize he had overreacted. He took a deep breath, trying to soften his tone. "That's not what I meant. It's just Tiffany is my friend, and you made her look bad in front of everyone." "Friend?" I set down my coffee cup, my gaze turning cold. "Marcus, I am your girlfriend. You're coming to confront me first thing in the morning over a friend. In your eyes, am I, your girlfriend, less important than a friend? I stood up and walked over to him, staring him down. Or perhaps your relationship with Tiffany isn't as simple as just friends. Marcus's eyes flickered. He instinctively avoided my gaze, and his tone immediately softened. Grace, you've misunderstood. I just think it's better to have more friends than enemies. Tiffany has some connections in the art world. She might be helpful to the company later. Helpful? I scoffed. Using my money to help her boost her reputation. Is that what you call helpful? Marcus, do you think I'm naive, wealthy, and easily fooled? I almost gritted my teeth as I spoke that last sentence. Marcus stiffened, the color draining from his face, and for the first time, genuine panic appeared in his eyes when he looked at me. Grace, how could you think that? Everything I've done is for our future. He tried to embrace me, but I violently pushed him away. Future? Our future is built on you constantly transferring money to another woman. I pulled out my phone, brought up several intimate photos the private investigator had taken of them, and threw it down in front of him. Is this your so-called future? Marcus saw the photos and completely panicked, babbling explanations. Grace, listen to me. It's a misunderstanding. It's the angle. Tiffany and I really have nothing going on. Nothing going on? I pointed to the image of them kissing in the photo. You call this nothing going on? Marcus, do you take me for a fool? I took a deep breath, trying my best to appear heartbroken, yet bravely holding back tears. I trusted you so much, even preparing to give you all my company shares. Is this how you repay me? Taking my money too? Support other women? No, Grace. Let me explain. Marcus dropped to his knees with a thud, grabbing my hand, his voice thick with emotion. It was Tiffany. She seduced me. I was just confused for a moment. I love you. Those funds, I just temporarily lent them to her. Her family was in trouble. Seeing his despicable face, I felt sick to my stomach, almost gagging. Even at this point, he was still pushing the blame onto a woman. I flung his hand away, turned my back, my shoulders trembling slightly. I fainted, of course. Just go. I don't want to see you right now. Grace, get out. Marcus froze in place, and after a long moment, he dejectedly stood up and stumbled out. The moment the door closed, the sorrow on my face vanished, replaced by cold mockery. This play was just reaching its climax. Sure enough, less than half an hour later, Chloe's phone call came through. Her voice as excited as if she'd won the lottery. Holy cow, Grace, huge news. Marcus and Tiffany had a massive fight at the cafe. I heard Marcus blame Tiffany for being too high profile and angering you. And Tiffany called Marcus useless for not being able to protect her. They parted ways angry. Haha, what a messy fight between them. I curled my lips into a smile. I guessed as much. Once greedy people's interests are harmed, infighting is inevitable. I opened my computer and looked at the latest email from Mr. Taylor. Inside was the complete evidence chain of Marcus' embezzlement of public funds. A massive sum, undeniable evidence. Additionally, there was evidence of Tiffany using a shell company to launder money and issue fake invoices. It was time to close the net. I replied to the email, prepared the materials, and submitted them to the Economic Crime Investigation Department. At the same time, I contacted the media. A press conference will be held tomorrow at 9 a.m. Marcus and Tiffany. Your false kingdom is about to crumble. The next morning at 9 a.m., the company's largest conference room was packed. Media reporters, having caught wind of the situation, aimed their cameras at the podium, their whispers filling the air with palpable tension, foreshadowing a coming storm. Marcus was also there, sitting in the front row, his face haggard, dark circles under his eyes, clearly having been up all night. He tried to convey apology and plea through his gaze, but I ignored him completely. At precisely 9 a.m., I dressed in a sharp black suit and walked onto the podium expressionlessly. Mr. Taylor and two police officers from the Economic Investigation, dressed in uniform, followed close behind. The moment the police were seen, the audience erupted. Camera flashes flared. Marcus abruptly stood up, his face instantly turning ashen white. I didn't give him a chance to speak, addressing the microphone directly, my voice clear and cold, echoing throughout the venue. To all media friends and company colleagues, this emergency press conference has been called today to announce a significant matter. concerning the survival of Core Incorporated. My gaze swept over Marcus and his legs gave out, causing him to collapse back into his chair. Through internal audits and preliminary investigations, it has been discovered that Mr. Marcus, a senior executive of Core Incorporated, during his tenure, abused his position to systematically embezzle and misappropriate enormous company assets by falsifying contracts and inflating expenses. The preliminary investigation indicates the amount involved exceeds tens of millions of dollars. The room instantly erupted in commotion. Reporters frantically pressed their camera shutters, questions raining down like a barrage. Ms. Grace, is the evidence conclusive? What is Mr. Marcus' response to this? Where did the funds go? I raised my hand for silence and continued. The evidence is conclusive. All relevant bank statements, forged documents, and other materials have been handed over to the public security authorities. I gestured to the police officers beside me. This is Captain from the Economic Investigation, and the case has been officially opened for investigation. The captain stepped forward and solemnly announced, "The suspect, Marcus, is accused of embezzlement. The evidence is irrefutable and substantial. Legal enforcement measures are now being taken against him." 2 police officers immediately approached Marcus, who was ashen-faced and trembling uncontrollably. "No, it's not like this. Grace, I was forced. It was Tiffany. That conniving woman made me do it," Marcus cried hysterically to me as if grasping at a last straw, trying to break free from the police. I watched his pathetic display coldly, as if observing a pathetic display. "Marcus, everyone is equal before the law," I said, my voice utterly devoid of emotion. "Whatever you have to say it to the police." The police unceremoniously handcuffed him, and amidst a flurry of flashes and gasps, escorted him out of the venue. His desperate wails echoed down the hallway, fading into the distance. I didn't pause, dropping a second bombshell. Furthermore, investigations have confirmed that Miss Tiffany, who has close ties to Marcus, is suspected of complicity in the crime, including involvement in money laundering and other activities. Public security authorities have concurrently launched an investigation and manhunt for her. The room buzzed with commotion again. Tiffany, the socialite, who had just made a stunning appearance at the charity gala, was actually a criminal. The press conference ended in chaos. I decisively answered a few key questions, then left, escorted by Mr. Taylor and security guards. As soon as I returned to my office, Chloe's call came in, her voice shrill with excitement. "Oh my God, Grace, you were incredible. I saw the news reports. Marcus, that jerk must have been scared out of his wits, right? The internet went wild. Tiffany's name is already the top trending topic. Fake socialite, real criminal. She's completely finished." I walked to the window, watching the crowds of media and onlookers who had rushed over downstairs. My mood was exceptionally calm. "This is just the beginning," I told Chloe and myself. "The law will give them the punishment they deserve. What I need to do is clean house and get the company back on track." After hanging up, I opened my computer and began drafting an open letter to all employees. The company had gone through such turmoil and morale was low. The situation needed to be stabilized immediately. I once thought losing Marcus would be the end of my world. Now I know that only by removing the tumor can I move forward unburdened. "William, do you see? Your daughter hasn't shamed you. Those who tried to trample and plunder us will pay the price. Marcus and Tiffany's time in prison is there just deserts. And my life, finally free of shadows, has welcomed a true dawn. The era of grace has just begun." The news of Marcus and Tiffany's arrest swept through the city like a hurricane. News headlines and social media were plastered with their names, preceded by shocking descriptors like "suspected of massive embezzlement" and "fake socialite, real criminal." Tiffany attempted to flee but was intercepted by the police at the airport. She was still wearing a designer suit and sunglasses but was exposed on the spot by officers, and her disheveled photos instantly spread across the internet. Her painstakingly cultivated glamorous image completely became a public laughingstock. Marcus, meanwhile, broke down during interrogation. To lessen his culpability, he revealed everything, including how he met Tiffany, how she incited him, how he gradually exploited my trust to erode company assets, and even his attempt to ask me after acquiring the company shares. His testimony further solidified their crimes and made me see that this had been a meticulously planned scam from beginning to end. The case entered judicial proceedings, and a long life in prison awaited them. Not only did Marcus face criminal penalties, but I also recovered most of the assets he had transferred through civil lawsuits, including the high-end apartment registered under Tiffany's name and the luxury goods purchased with illicit funds. I injected a portion of these funds into company operations and used another portion to establish an employee hardship relief fund. The company underwent a painful but necessary overhaul. I swiftly restructured the management, removed personnel closely associated with Marcus or those who had failed in their oversight duties, and promoted a group of capable young talents. Initially, there was some turbulence, but with the implementation of new systems and a steady recovery in business, the company atmosphere became clearer and more efficient than ever before. I moved out of the residence filled with false memories and into the family estate left by William. After work each day, I would read in William's study or tend to the flowers and plants in the garden, feeling an unprecedented sense of peace and fulfillment. Occasionally, I would hear news about the two of them from Mr. Taylor. Marcus was in prison, depressed, and had repeatedly asked to see me, but I refused every time. Tiffany, on the other hand, consistently claimed she was deceived and exploited by Marcus, attempting to shift blame, but the undeniable evidence made her excuses seem feeble. 6 months later, on a beautifully sunny afternoon, I received a call from Chloe. "Grace, guess who I just saw at a charity auction?" Chloe's voice was as vibrant as ever. "Who?" "Kyle, that guy who used to help Marcus push you out. Guess what? He actually had the nerve to come over and try to butter me up, suddenly asking about you and claiming he'd been misled by Marcus before, hoping you'd give him a chance to collaborate or something." Chloe's tone was full of disdain. I shut him down right there. I said, "Miss Grace's current collaborators need to be people of integrity at the V. At least." He looked utterly mortified. I smiled, not surprised. The fickleness of people often put self-interest first. When she was strong, they swarmed. When she was weak, they abandoned her. Now that they saw her rebuilding, it was only natural for others to try to latch on again. "No need to pay attention to him," I said calmly. "We just need to focus on our own projects." "Absolutely. Oh, and that smart community project in Eastwood, after using Core Incorporated's technology, has gone viral, and now apartments are impossible to get. Several big shots want to invest," Chloe said excitedly. "Girl, you truly have a Midas touch now." After hanging up, I walked into the garden. The early summer breeze, carrying the scent of flowers, brushed against my cheek, warm and comforting. The pomegranate tree William had planted during his lifetime was blooming exceptionally vibrant this year. I remembered William's frequent saying, "Grace, money lost can always be earned back. But if you lose your integrity, you'll never stand tall again." Now, I had preserved William's legacy and straightened my own back. The experience of being deceived and humiliated hadn't broken me. Instead, it had become the catalyst for my transformation. I was no longer the naive girl who easily gave her full trust. Living in a fairy tale, I was Grace, truly in control of my own life. As for love, I looked down at the simple band ring on my ring finger, a memento left by Margaret. Perhaps I would meet someone truly worthy in the future. Perhaps not. But either way, I no longer needed to depend on anyone. Sunlight filtered through the pomegranate blossoms, casting dappled light on the ground. I took a deep breath of the fresh air, feeling an unprecedented sense of ease and freedom. My world was clean and bright, free of those sordid people and affairs. That was enough.